What's happening, hardscapers? Today we're going to talk about proposals. Let's get into this. So one question that I get quite often from starting out hardscape business owners is, how do I format my proposals? What is it that I include in my proposals? And I also ask this question to every hardscape business owner that comes on the How to Hardscape podcast for our I Am a Hardscaper series on that podcast, where we do a deep dive into a hardscape business owner's business. And for the most part, it seems that most contractors agree with work area pricing on a proposal, and some get into the details and specifics of that work area and how it's going to be built. Some just keep it nice and simple, but I'm going to talk about why and how I go about creating my proposals, what's included in it. So let's hop into the How to Hardscape headquarters software here. I'm going to go ahead and add my crew to the software and save them in there for this specific project. We got our 2 employees on this project, and then I'm going to go ahead and start to add specific work areas. For this specific project that we're quoting, we are going to be doing a patio with a retaining wall. So I'm going to change my work area to patio there, and I'm going to choose my paver production rate. That's going to bring up my step-by-step sub-productions for that production rate. So I've got the excavation, base prep, screeding, laying, edge restraint, jointed compound, and cleanup. And I can go ahead through each of these and I can use my production rates, or I can go simply hourly and just think in my head, okay, how long is this excavation going to take? I think it's going to take me 10 hours to complete this excavation. And then I can go through my base preparation. I can go ahead and save this work area just to see how it looks on this side. I now know that this patio project is going to take me 27.5 hours. That's man hours or people hours. And you have 2 people on this project. So that 27.5 hours is actually going to be 13.75 hours each for each of those employees. I can then go ahead and add my next work area. We're going to be doing a wall in this case. So this is our retaining wall, and we're going to use the retaining wall production rate. We've got this now broken down step by step. We got excavation. I can go ahead and click save. And there we are. We have our patio and we have our wall completed here with a total hours of 38 or 58.5, 31 for the wall, and 27.5 for our patio there. And now we can also add an efficiency factor. And what this does is it adds a percentage markup based on the wasted time in every single day. So if we're clocking in at our yard and then driving to the job site, that's wasted time besides what it takes us to actually complete that project. Same with breaks and lunch. If we are paying out employees for those breaks and lunch, that's time wasted on the job site. So we're going to do half an hour to this job site, half an hour back home to the yard to clock out, half an hour for lunch, and our work hours are going to be 8 hours per day. We click save. That gives us an efficiency factor of 81.25%. Our 58.5 hours now becomes 69.47. Divided amongst our 2 employees, we get 34.73. If we wanted to, we could round up to the nearest day. Or we can actually revert always back to our original production hours, which would be our 69.46 hours there. We're going to round up to the nearest day. And there we are. We have 40 hours for each of our employees. Our hours changed are 10.54 hours. We've added 10.54 people hours to this project in order to round up to that nearest day there. I'm going to go to my cost of sale tab. I'm going to add in a patio work area, our pavers for this project. I'm just going to go ahead, just for this example, just choose our aggregate. We are going to need, say, 10 yards. And I'm going to click save. We have that for our patio. We can also go back in and now choose our wall and be able to choose our wall product. And I can click save. And there we are. We have our materials for our patio. We have our materials for our wall, at least the ones that we've added into this project. Now I can go to my estimate and I can add a labor burden percentage markup, and we can have our tax rate applied there, our profit percentage. I can click save here. All of our totals show up at the bottom. I can add any notes to this. So if we want to add our locates into this project so that we can see them in the field, always have them accessible, we can do that here. And choose whatever employee added them. Add our notes there, choose our attachments, click save. Our material orders, if we have materials from separate vendors and chosen in this cost of sale, if we click generate automated purchase orders, it will choose those materials for those specific vendors and create separate purchase orders for each of those. So if I click generate, you see that we've got two different purchase orders. If I go ahead in here and click edit, you can see that we have a purchase order for these materials. And if I wanted to, I could add in the missing material that's going with the other vendor there. You can see that we have one vendor here, one vendor here. Obviously delivery would be added into this, but it's just based on the materials that I chose in that previous example. And you can see that at this time we can still edit and send it off to our actual supplier. So if I go back to those material orders, I can go to our email, I can choose my purchase orders template. There it is. Hi, I hope this email finds you well. Please see these attached quantities that we want to order. I can BCC my company email, click send here, and that will send off to them there. And I can go now to my proposal. I can add a work area proposal, and this is how we create our proposals for our clients to see. As you can see, our customer name and information shows up on the side here. We've got our company information there, and then I can pull this down, and then you can see our information that we are actually sending to our clients here. So this is how we actually create each and every one of our proposals here. We have our work area name. In this case, this is our patio based on what we created there. And then this information actually gets pulled in automatically every time I use the paver production rate. So I showed you everything in that previous example of creating this project to show you that we created this work area name and we use the paver production rate. And anytime we pick that paver production rate, this information is going to automatically show up so that I don't have to manually type this every single time. It shows up here, and at this point in time, I can edit it if I want to. These are actually hyperlinked so that these go to every single one of my YouTube channels that's relevant to this information. So that when my client actually gets this, they can see it, they can see it's hyperlinked, they can click on it, they can learn more, and they can actually see my face explaining how we're going to actually build their project for them. So that all this information is nice and easy for them to access, and they can actually, if they are getting multiple bids from contractors or companies, they can actually compare apples to apples as opposed to seeing our price, seeing someone else's price who didn't even provide the scope of work or any information relevant to what was going to be done. They can actually see that we put the effort into creating this scope of work, showing them how we're going to actually install the project for them, and so on and so forth there. So for our pavers, we have the scope of work for installing pavers. We have number 1, excavate and dispose of existing soil, the depth. So every single time that's going to show up every time we choose that paver production group. You can then see that all of our materials that we quoted into that specific work area is going to show up here as well. And you can also see that our material is hyperlinked. When we're adding materials to our material catalog, we can actually hyperlink them in the software. So our client can actually click on this. It'll take them to this material manufacturer's website for this specific product so that they can actually see it there as well. And if we don't want to show some of these materials to our clients, we can actually go into add items. And actually, this is what I do, is I just add or deduct the specific items in that chart so that they only see the paver for this specific example here. Then we can go down to our next work area, which is our wall. Our wall notes show up here. So we got our production group wall. And now instead of pre-populating scope of work for installing pavers, we now have our scope of work for installing retaining walls. Differs slightly in the way that we prepare our retaining wall base and how we install our retaining wall. And it links to each of our videos once again so that our clients can see exactly how we're going to install this for them. Once again, our materials show up here in our chart. We get our subtotal, we get our tax rate, and we get our total there. We then have my name as the person who prepared this, our date, and then we have our contract below. And if at any point in time I need to edit my contract, I can go in here and click on it. I can change the payment terms. This contract is actually in the setup tab under our contract tab. So we just import it into our contract tab, and then this shows up anytime we actually create a proposal, our contract at the end. But at this point in time, I can change it, I can add our payment terms and so on and so forth for specifics to that specific project. Once we're done here, we can click save. I then have the choice of printing it or saving it as a PDF, or I can go ahead in here, click email, choose my email template. I'm going to be sending a proposal. I'm going to be choosing to BCC my company email. Then we have all the information here for this specific client, or our email that's being sent off as the sending proposal template. And when I click send here, this is going to be sent to my email with this email as well as a link to the proposal. The client can then see the proposal by clicking on that link. I'm going to click send. Once that is viewed, this will change to viewed here, and they can also digitally sign it, send it back to you. This project will then become an approved project in the system under approved projects, and it'll also show up on our schedule to be able to schedule. And that is how we create the proposal for every project that's going out the door for our clients. And this is what the proposal looks like on their side. When they see it, they can see that we have the patio, the wall work areas, we got the information, all of these hyperlinks here. All the materials show up, our contract at the very bottom, and then you can see that they can click on it, they can add their signature, they can accept it, they can save it. It gets sent off to us on the back end. So now when we go ahead and we refresh our proposal page here for this specific project, you can see that it has been viewed. You can see we created just a test account. There's a couple of other ones, but then now when we go in, we can see that this proposal has actually been viewed and it is ready to be scheduled here. So we got the client signature there, and then we can go to our schedule and we can see that this actually shows up in our schedule to be dragged and dropped into our schedule. And now it's in the accepted projects folder. So if I go here, I can see that it is an accepted project, and this is the information that we have once again for that project. If we ever do need to reference it here, and I honestly don't like to give my clients the ability to pick and choose which work areas they want completed. I create a project and it is a project as a whole, because what if they decide that they don't want the wall, but the wall is crucial for us to be able to build the patio? I don't want to give the client the ability to pick and choose which work areas work for them, because that design is a design as a whole. That's a little bit more simple for things like lighting. But even still, lighting is pretty crucial for our packages when we are sending them out. So we still, if a client decides that the lighting is not in the budget, we still want to have that conversation with them, as opposed to just letting them pick and choose which work area fits for them and which work area does not fit for them. Hey, I hope this video has helped you in some way. If you want to learn more about the How to Hardscape headquarters software, there's a link in the description below that just takes you to members.howtohardscape.com. There we have also installation courses and budgeting, estimating, knowing your numbers courses. That's all included in the How to Hardscape headquarters software. So if you want to learn more about that, you can also book a demo right on that website there. Any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section below. Anything that you disagree with on me, or if you have any information that you would want to add to anybody listening, comment section below. Like this video if you found it helpful for whatever reason, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content like this. Thank you so much for watching.